What's up, everybody? This is Colin from Holistic Heritage Homestead. I hope you're all well. Folks, there's a lot going on in the world. Troubling things that are definitely concerning. I get it. I want to talk to you folks about what you can do, things you should do right now to make your families safer, better off, to put you in a better position for the uncertain times ahead. Now, there's a lot of opinions. People have their own opinions. And I'm going to tell you folks, I've been studying emergency preparedness for 30 plus years, okay? I've been researching geopolitical posturing for decades, okay? I'm a big student of history. I've studied ad nauseum, okay? I've been watching what's going on, the events leading up to what's going on in Iran, what's going on in Israel, Ukraine, Russia, around the world. And I want this video to give you hope. There's a lot of fear out there. There's a lot of fear mongering, and sure, it's very concerning. A lot of horrible things are happening, and I think sadly more horrible things are going to happen and possibly escalate to levels that none of us want to see, okay? Unless you're sick and twisted. I mean, there are some war hawks out there that are like, get excited about this stuff, but they might be excited until it ends up in their backyard. Then they might change their minds, okay? So, folks, Iran, Israel, what about your home? What about your home? I'm going to give you folks a lot of different advice. I just want to get this out. Please watch the full video because I might cover things that other people don't cover, that they don't even think about maybe, okay? And I'm going to discuss your personal finances, emergency preparedness, social tactics and strategies, all right? A lot of other things, self-reliance, self-sufficiency, homesteading, things like that, and how they all connect during these uncertain times, okay? In no particular order, folks. You don't have control of the big picture stuff. You don't. A lot of this stuff is totally orchestrated. It's not as natural as you might think, okay? There are powers that be that have diabolical agendas, and they're pushing hardcore to make these things happen. Now, I don't want to argue with you folks, and I'm not going to take the time to volley a fruitless conversation or argument in the comments below. But I'm telling you, if you folks really believe that politicians have your best interests at heart, well, I think you're being naive and foolish for the most part. There are a few, and I mean few, very few, there are a few politicians who sincerely care about people and who did not enter the arena of politics because they're narcissistic psychopaths, okay? Some of them are just great people who actually want to give back to their communities. I think you're more likely to find politicians that are good people, perhaps for lack of better words, in the local sense, okay? In your towns, in your cities, your counties, okay? Once you go to the state level and above, you're talking about puppeteers and puppets, okay, with their own agendas, and a lot of them are sadly only out for their own bank accounts, okay, and their families. So one of the number one things you can do, folks, okay, is, first of all, before I get into the specific action plan, okay, when you don't want to completely disconnect from the media, but you don't want to get absorbed by the media, and you don't want to get brainwashed. You don't want to be indoctrinated. You don't want the predictive programming to make you think certain things, okay? What I recommend is watch and listen to, okay? It's always going to involve listening. Well, maybe not, but watch and listen to different media outlets. Your major news networks, both political sides, okay? And foreign news networks. Now, a lot of you might be thinking, Colin, I don't want to listen to some like Islamic-based news. Well, you should. You should. Because there are times when they might be telling more truth than our media, okay? Also, perspective. You should also be looking on YouTube, Rumble, different things like that for independent journalists. And arguably more important than all of that, No matter what you listen to, no matter what you watch, you should be putting it through your own logical filter. Don't abandon critical thinking. Folks, if you listen to something and it doesn't make sense, it's just not logical, okay? You really need to think further. You need to do more research. Don't just believe the first thing you hear, okay? Please, okay? And a lot of the stuff that people might call conspiracy theory, that's a pejorative misnomer. It's meant to be a mean thing that they call pretty much unpopular opinions. Many of the so-called conspiracy theories over the past decades have proven to be irrefutably true, proven by science, proven by primary source information, video, audio, things you could read, whatever, okay? So don't discount them. Don't automatically have a closed mind if you hear something that sounds outlandish, far-fetched. It's not popular, okay? Because a lot of the times, the unpopular opinions are the ones that are the most grounded in fact. I have learned that to be absolutely true over the years, okay? And many of you owe your conspiracy theorist friends some apologies at this point, okay? Because they've been correct about a thing of things, all right? So before I get into the plan of action, just keep that in mind as far as your intellectual diet, as far as the sourcing of your information and the processing of your information. Now, one of the first things you can do, move. That's right. Now, I'm going to say things, if you know me on this channel, if you know me, I keep it real. I don't sugarcoat things. I try to be nice, okay? My main goal is not to hurt people's feelings. Sometimes I might want to because, there's a lot of stupidity out there and some people really need to be shocked, okay? Move. As far as nuclear war, now, if a bomb lands on your house, okay, there's not much you could do, all right? You got a bunker? Hey, maybe you could do something, all right? So before any of you fatalists, the idiots who like to get involved in the comments, well, what if a bomb lands on your head? Well, you're having a bad day. You're dead, all right? So we're not talking about that, all right? We're talking about everything leading up to. Hopefully that never happens, but if that happened, well, live and be safe and be happy until then, okay? That's rational thought, okay? And what a lot of people do is they use fear to discourage people so they don't prepare at all. And then they end up in a horrible situation. Talk to people who live around the world, who've lived in war-torn societies and see what they've done. They will tell you they were prepared and they're happy they were, or they were not prepared and they wish that they were. Emergency preparedness is a lifestyle that everybody should subscribe to. If you're not preparing, you're an idiot. Okay? And you're not being responsible. You're not being accountable for your family's safety and well-being, and for your safety and well-being, and for the safety and well-being of your community members. Okay? God first, family second, community third, in that order. Get it right. All right? So move. If there's going to be bombs dropped, most likely they're going to be in strategic. It's going to be strategic. So they're going to be going for places of interest, okay, and high population centers. If you live away from anything that might be considered important strategically, you have a higher chance of not having to deal with that, okay? So move. You want to move to get to a safer place. Now, and you can disagree all you want, but everything I'm saying is completely true, all right? Move to a safer place. Now, but my family, my job, my friends, my 43 different Thai restaurants in a stone throw distance. I'm going to give all that up for safety? Well, yeah, exactly, okay? And moving will also give you the ability, if you move to a rural place or a more rural than you already are place, the ability to be more self-sufficient. Our country, our leaders, rather, used to encourage people to have victory gardens. Look it up. You don't believe me? Look it up. The powers that be used to encourage people to grow their own food at home so they could be safer, so supply lines weren't strained, okay? So supply wasn't strained, rather, and so that people could be more self-sufficient. You move somewhere better, keep your family safe and less likely to have any bombs dropping close by, okay? And you give yourself the ability to chase self-sufficiency, to be more self-sufficient. Hopefully you're not just chasing, hopefully you're succeeding, okay? And for those details, you want to learn how to garden, raise livestock, be awesome, watch this channel, all right? So you want to move, okay? Number 2, get yourselves organized. And one of the number one things a lot of people talk about, that don't talk about rather, when it comes to preparedness is finances, personal finances. You can have a bunker, you can have all the freedom tools, all the food and water you want, all the whatever, all the preps, okay? But if you can't pay your mortgage, you're going to have to leave that property. The bank's going to take it at some point. You don't own it. You have no place to live anymore, okay? You've got to get out of debt. If your income stops, I want you to imagine if war happens, more, or there's an escalation rather, because we're already involved in some stuff. Who knows how much we're really involved. We might not even know, okay? But if things escalate, then folks, you've really got to think about being in a better financial position. Don't go on vacation. Pay off your debt. Get rid of your highest rate interest credit cards first, okay? Pay off debt. And at the same time, concurrent to that, as you're paying off debt, get a chunk of money that you can use for emergencies, or an emergency fund that you can pay your mortgage and your property taxes. Is another very important thing to make sure you have your money for. Because even if you own your home, if you stop paying your property taxes, you own your property, it's not yours anymore. That's why we don't really have property rights in America. And I don't know if there's anywhere in the world you can actually really own something forever. Once you pay it off, it's yours. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below if anywhere like that exists. I don't want to say I'm going to move there because we like where we live. But hey, that's pretty cool. Actually, that's more than pretty cool. That's amazing if you could actually own something. So get that money put to the side. Any of your payments every month, you should have minimum 3 months. Now you're thinking, here's the excuses, here's the whatever. I get it. I know it's hard. We struggle financially. We're very hardworking people. I work 2 jobs. My wife works a lot. We serve the Lord. That's our priority, and that takes time and energy, okay? We take care of our family, okay? My wife and I, we're blessed with 2 amazing sons. We take care of them. My wife and I take care of each other, so we're very busy people. And then after that, in priority, we work, we homestead, okay? We have multiple business ventures. We're really grinding because you don't want to look back. Hindsight's 2020, and look back and say, hey, well, I really could have picked up that second job. I really could have not went on vacation and saved that money instead, or paid off debt, okay? Move somewhere, get in a better financial position. Number 3, focus on your basic preps. A lot of people want to get freedom tools and freedom seeds. They're very important because without them, your preps can become someone else's preps. So get the basics as far as freedom tools, freedom seeds. You folks should know what I'm talking about. I got to be careful here on this platform. I'm not going to get into why I use my code language, okay? But you want to focus on the basics. Security tools, freedom seeds for those security tools, water and food. Water, stockpile water, and also have ways to purify and filter water and treat water. Make water drinkable, whatever that's going to take, okay? Berkey filters are great, by the way. I've got one right over here, all right? You still got to, do certain things with water. Don't just think that you're just going to scoop up some water out of a lake nearby and drink it. Okay, don't do that. Do your research, all right? But you want to have stockpiled drinkable water. You want to also have water stockpiled for hygiene, okay? Washing, bathing, cleaning, stuff like that. So hygiene and cleaning. Food, stockpile food. Calorically dense, preferably animal-based proteins. Keystone Meats, here's a shout out for you. You folks are awesome. We are huge fans of Keystone Meats. Please check out our previous videos rather, of promoting Keystone Meats. animal proteins and fats should be the king, the foundation of your food pantry, okay? Stockpile those things. I like the cans because they last a long time, arguably way past the expiration date, and you've got a lot of complete amino acid profile proteins. However, I should say that proteins that have complete amino acid profiles in one spot with the fat, all right? It's all like, and when I say one spot, it's a meal in a can. They're ready to eat. You're not going to need fuel and energy to cook them and everything else, all right? Get your water for drinking, get your water for bathing, get your water for cleaning, stockpile your food, your basics. Move somewhere, better, all right? Get in a better financial position, all right? Stockpile your basics. Freedom tools, water, food, you got it. Now, by the way, as far as the finances, I'm not a financial advisor. This is my disclaimer. I don't have any degrees as far as finances. I'm just a thinking person who's a self-taught investor. In your retirement accounts, let's say you have a Roth IRA, for example, you might want to keep some cash in that account, not invested in an equity or equities. And I'm not an advisor. This is all for entertainment purposes only, okay? So that if and when stocks, REITs, which is the REITs, however you want to say that, ETFs, they might drop. And that's where you make your money, is when you buy. Buy low, sell high. Common sense, okay? As far as what to invest in, I'm just going to throw some things out there, just ideas. Artificial intelligence, military industries, okay? Your basic household, your consumer goods, the things that people are going to use no matter what. They're going to need toilet paper. They're going to need toothpaste. They're going to, stuff like that, okay? They're relatively inelastic. They're not as affected by trends, bad things happening in the world, such as war, okay? Gold and silver, okay? I recommend the best form of that is tangible, actual coins. Preferably, I recommend U.S. minted coins, okay? Because they're recognized around the world. They're recognized as supposedly actually what they're say they are, like 99.9, however many nines% silver, for example. In my opinion, I think silver in particular, because it's has industrial and like commercial uses or whatever, and it's also it's silver, it's bullion, okay? I think that's going to skyrocket. I think that's going to go up maybe at a faster pace than gold. The gold-silver ratio historically follows certain trends, and right now they've gone kind of far. So I think that gap is going to close as far as how far apart they are, as far as the ratio, rather. So keep that in mind, all right? Those are some things to think about as far as your personal finances. You also want to get stuff. Now, I'm not just talking about your preps as far as food, water, freedom tools. I'm talking about any equipment you might need. So if you've been thinking about making a purchase, a tool, for example, let's say a power tool, this might be the time to make that purchase because prices might skyrocket, things might not be available. One of the things that happens in war is supply chains get interrupted, sometimes destroyed. So I just want you folks to be motivated, and this is really not a time to be scared. It's a time to act. It's a time to act. Another thing you should be doing is networking. Please check out my previous video about who you want on your prepper team. Okay, I think I might have done more than one video, but I did one recently. Please check that out. I'll get into more details about this particular subtopic. I got into more details, rather, about this particular subtopic in that video, okay? On your network, on your prepper team, you want to network with people that work in the medical field. I recommend nurses, okay? Usually more than doctors. You want a nurse who's dealt with trauma. A lot of doctors, they sit at their desks, they write prescriptions, it's basic input, output, rote memorization as an ROTE, not WROTE, okay? And they just regurgitate what they were taught, all right? nurses, I think, this is my opinion, have better skills when it comes to emergency scenarios. I would rather have a nurse on our team who's worked in the ER, who's dealt with blood, guts, whatever, in stressful situations, okay, cuts, stabbings, knife, stabbings, gunshots, whatever, who knows how to react in high pressure, stressful, fast-paced scenarios, who knows how to deal with trauma. One of the most important things in a survival scenario is knowing how to just stop bleeding, keep you breathing, the basics, okay? Now, there are other fields of medicine and rehab therapy that they have knowledge that's very useful, like physical therapy, okay? Doctors, obviously, I hope they would be knowledgeable. I met some stupid doctors in my time. And you want them on your team. You also want people that can build, as far as construction, framing, building, renovation, things like that. People that can build a chicken tractor for you, a rabbit tractor for you, whatever, a rabbit shelter, livestock shelter. You want people who are mechanically inclined, who have mechanic skills, okay, who can fix your vehicle. One of the things you want to stockpile, by the way, is fuel. Speaking of fuel, like I said, no particular order. This might seem like a rant, but there's a lot of amazing information in this video, I think, okay? Stockpile fuel, okay? Light, fuel, batteries, gasoline, kerosene, propane, candles, solar power, whatever. Keep your phones constantly charged at the highest you can at all times, because if something happens, there's an EMP. Boom. Imagine where you are right now. Right now, what's your phone at? What's it at? Are you able to have your phone for the rest of the day, until tomorrow, until however long, to react and get into emergency response mode and have your phone? You might not be able to even use your phone, but there might be tools on your phone, your flashlight, okay? You might have a library or information in your Picture This app for foraging, okay? You might have important passwords and information you might need, whatever. Your phone's very important. And that includes not just for phone calls, not just for internet, okay? You could use it to measure. There's a lot of different things. So you want your phone, which is a great tool, constantly charged, all right? Move somewhere safe. Please. Please move somewhere safe and take that. It might be take a leap of faith to do that, but move somewhere safe, okay? Get into a better position financially, okay, as far as your personal finances, and part of that, your investing, okay? You might want to freeze your investing for a while and focus on just saving that emergency fund and also paying off your debt, okay? Stockpile, stockpile, stockpile. Water for drinking, ways to treat, purify, filter water, everything I discussed, the aforementioned things, okay? And water for bathing and cleaning as well. You need water for more than just drinking. Some people don't think about that. So that water doesn't necessarily have to be the cleanest. It could be like, we've got huge containers that used to store frying oil that I got from a restaurant, and clean it out a little bit, fill it with water. I'm totally fine washing my hair with that or whatever, okay? And part of the stockpile should be your food. Okay, I recommend the Keystone Meats, for example. It's a good, just do it, buy it, and you're good, okay? And your freedom seeds, your freedom tools and the freedom seeds to go with them, all right? Or some people might call your hammer and nails, if you know what I'm saying, all right? And then buy the things that you think you might not be able to get your hands on, because that might not be available, things that are useful, things that might go up in price, okay? Buy those things. And like I said, consider gold and silver, okay? And the other thing was, I hope I'm not missing anything, is your network, okay? Build your prepper team, folks. Make those connections. Get a team of people with different skills, different knowledge, okay? Develop a bartering system. Start practicing now. Start bartering now. All right. Now, this might sound crazy. You might say, Colin, we're never going to have to deal with problems like that in America. We've been spoiled as Americans. we only had Pearl Harbor. It was, whatever times you might think of. Well, folks, history is, read history and you'll find out that a lot of times people were very, very surprised. They don't know what to expect. I'd rather have you have your financial situation be better, have some money saved. You should have it anyways, folks, okay? Have your food and water. You should have it anyways. Freedom tools, you should have it anyways. I'd rather you get these things lined up. Iran, well, we don't have the power to control everything that happens there. Israel, we don't have the power to control everything that happens there. In America, we don't have the power to control everything that happens there, but we do have the power to control at least some of what happens in our home and our property, okay? So that's what I want you to focus on. Get your information, filter it, think, get different information from different groups, including the people you might not like, whatever, whoever, okay? Filter it and focus on your world. Focus on the macro, the world stage and the things going on, the geopolitical posturing and all of that. But focus on what you can do, and that's in your home, on your property, and in your community. I hope you folks got information. I hope you got an idea or ideas. This information can save lives. I really believe that in my heart and with my mind, all of my brain, however much of it, I believe it, folks. Okay? This could be life-saving. Have you found this to be valuable as far as, you got some entertainment, all right? Hopefully, more important than that, hopefully, with this topic in particular. Hopefully you got some education. You learned a thing or things. And/or hopefully I provoked some thought. I'm going to have you look into something more, do some research. Consider listening to the other media team, all right? Depends on how you look at media, okay? Get involved in the comments below. Please subscribe. Follow along our homesteading journey as we, first and foremost, serve the Lord, as we take care of our family, as we, first of all, we put the Lord first always, okay? Our family second, and then everyone else and everything else after that. Please follow our homesteading journey here on this channel. Please follow our prepping journey here on this channel. We've got so much information coming at you, folks. Please check out my playlist about the discussing preps that are underrated. Please check out. It's a great playlist full of great information, I think. My opinion. Take care, everybody.